So, good morning, both. Today we are going to have a quick demo about Oracle Fusion HCM Training. About me, and I have around 8 years of experience in Oracle Cloud ERP, and I have worked in various modules in HCM domain, and I have worked as a techno-functional consultant, which basically means I have technical experience, hands-on experience, as well as functional hands-on experience across domains. Teaching for the institutes for the past 4 years, I've been teaching HCM ERP. Out of the 8 years, all of the 8 years was along with the Oracle Cloud. The scope of the demo, today we have gathered to see about, this is the agenda for the day. So we're going to see about ERP overview, what is ERP and what's the high level understanding of what is ERP and what is Oracle Fusion. We'll be discussing about Fusion on-premise versus Fusion cloud, what is on-premise and cloud and what are the differences. We'll be talking about the different cloud deployment models and also the Fusion product families. And we'll be talking about different types of Fusion updates. Also, we'll be looking at HCM overview in general. So in the course outline, generally people might be wondering, what are the different things we are going to cover up in this particular course. So in this course, we're going to have global human resources. We are going to talk about absence management. So I'll go one by one. So first is global human resources, which is also called core HR. So generally what this means is like, we are going to talk about basic setup of an organization. When I say basic setup means not like basic level and advanced level, but this is the very structuring of organization into the system, right? So any Fusion is generally called a independent module based software. Okay, so when you say like ERP is going to be a independent module based software. For that, core HR, we're going to see in depth about how the structure of the organization is going to be put up in the system, and how this is going to be established in the system to start use of hiring an employee, transferring an employee, or doing all the global HR transactions for the employee. Next thing is absence management, which is nothing but leave management. So leave management, what are the different types of leaves to be configured for an organization? And like paternal leave, maternity leave, paternity leave, and we're going to talk about sick leave, earned leave, vacation balance for different countries across the globe, right? So there'll be different locations where the company will be placed if it's an MNC, right? So based on their own legislation, how the leaves are going to define, all that will tag under absence management. The third part is time and labor. Time and labor is basically like punch in, punch out times. So when I say punch in, punch out, it's like, tracking the attendance record of the person, right? So absence means like number of leaves you take. But time and labor means like how much work you are going to do for normal in a day. Like you have this fingerprint scanners, right? To track your attendance the similar way, right? So how to maintain the time cards, how to gather the information from the employee. So that's the time and labor information. Next thing is payroll. As you guys know, payroll is nothing but salary related. You'll be processing the payroll, whether it is going to be given to the employee on a weekly basis or a monthly basis or semi-monthly basis or daily basis, and whether it will be given to you directly in hand or it will be a EFT transfer or it will be given as a check. So those kind of setup will be made under payroll. Right? Compensation. It's very similar word to payroll, but compensation means what is the CTC, right? So the CTC will be defined under compensation. Processing your CTC will be done under payroll. That's the difference between your payroll and compensation. I'll repeat compensation again. The compensation is basically what is the amount of money will be given to you, or things will be compensated to you for your work in the organization. That's what is compensation. Right? And processing your compensation is your payroll system. So then we'll be briefly discussing about interview question and answer so that we'll get you prepared for any upcoming interviews after this course. So we'll quickly get into ERP overview. ERP is basically, as you guys are already there in the demo image, or probably at least you did the basic Googling, the full form of it. ERP, right? Enterprise Resource Planning. So this ERP has started in 1960s to manage the stocks and inventories. Right? From that, it is getting evolved. And in early 20s, we started calling it as ERP. So earlier it was majorly focused on manufacturing company. So before ERP, it was called as MRP. It's called Manufacturing Resourcing Planning. Up from MRP, it has evolved to ERP, and currently it is called as Extended ERP or Cloud ERP. Right? That is the latest trend word for ERPs. So why I mentioned manufacturing as a highlighted word is before currently ERP, you might have heard like it is across organization. Any applications you can use from the ERP. Right? Earlier days, it was used only for the manufacturing companies. Okay, It was very much hit in manufacturing companies. It has made a wonderful ease of work for manufacturing companies. From that, it has started and it has evolved into ERP. Right? So when I say ERP, it's basically a sophisticated high-end software application which is used in an organization to control or to make the activities on a centralized database. Okay? So one database which can refer the information very easily and connectivity very easily so that you can get the information across the organization work. Right? So it's just a pictorial representation of what are the different work in an organization can be connected to the centralized database. Right? So there we have mentioned finance, sales, purchasing, accounting, engineering, so production kind, and human resources, planning, budgeting, business intelligence, reporting, likewise, many of the things which are all necessary for every business. So that will be connected to your centralized database. And proceeding further, generally ERP, as I mentioned, MRP was focused on just like manufacturing companies, but ERP is majorly divided into four modules. Right, so that's what we are seeing here. So majorly it is divided into HCM, CRM, SCM, and FSCM. HCM means human capital management. So as the name says, human capital, it is going to manage the human resources of the organization, which is what our course as well. We are going to see an HCM application. But here, as you understand with the course outline, so this is going to talk about how you are going to hire an employee, how are you going to manage the absence of an employee, do a payroll for an employee. So if you take one employee, the entire life cycle of the employee will be managed through the HCM application. Likewise, the company is going to have like thousands of employees, right? All that will be handled in one application. That application will be the human capital management. Okay. So then next application I mentioned is CRM, right? Customer relationship management. When I say customer relationship management, so for any business, customers are the king. Right? So you need to have, let it be production, let it be high level, car production company also. Even then customers are important. You have to track the customers, maintain the data of the customers, like maintain the data of the sales report, or collect the feedback report from the customers. So all that will be made in one single system called CRM application. Right? So this is very common across organization because this is the very base for the business to success. So next thing we are going to see is supply chain management. This is what is referring to the mode MRP. So which will be focused for the manufacturing companies. Okay. So supply chain management means for an organization to complete. Let's take an example of one production unit. Okay. So for you guys to understand what's a production unit, you can think of one two-wheeler manufacturing company. When I say two-wheeler manufacturing company, what are the different things you might require? You need a wheel, you need seat covers, you need seat, you need stand, you need body, you need central chassis, you need engine, you need battery, so many things. And all is going to be assembled at the end point, but they're going to be a root of things. So you should have an inventory for everything. So similar, likewise, for all the actions, for all the things to be organized in a way, you need an application, right? So early days it was not application, but then they came into MRP and now into ERP. Obviously, this supply chain management application is predominantly used from the product maker called SAP. Right? So this supply chain management, hope you guys understand. So how the chain is followed and how the supply is given to for the particular chain to seamlessly follow and get the final product here, that is managed by one application called supply chain management. Right? So final product, what we are seeing is finance application. So managing your money. So FSCM means finance and supply chain. So generally finance as a module, it is combined finance and supply chain, but you can still implement an application only to focus on your finance. Not necessarily you should be manufacturing in it. You could be an IT company also, IT organization also, like or a services organization also. Still, you might need finance. Without finance, obviously there is no work for anything, right? Making money is the ultimate funda. So finance applications will be used to track the finances for an organization. Right? So parallelly, I have given few names. Right? So those are the products which is available in the market for those particular module. Right? So coming from the start, so HCM. For HCM, we have Oracle. Right? So when I say Oracle, Oracle is very big wider IT organization. For that, you have multiple applications within Oracle. Okay. So earlier, very first own application from Oracle in-house is e-business suite. Probably you guys would have heard it, e-business suite. And then in parallel, it was a very high competition. They had it PeopleSoft. So Oracle has a decade back, Oracle has acquired PeopleSoft, and PeopleSoft and eBusiness Suite both are from Oracle now. Right? So based on the concepts of Oracle eBusiness Suite and PeopleSoft, they have evolved a cloud product called as Oracle Fusion. So recently they're calling this Oracle HCM Cloud because it's a combined product and it is having multiple models. That's what we are going to learn here today and in the upcoming classes. So we are going to see about Oracle HCM Cloud. So the competition for Oracle is there are like how you have the mobile market, you have a lot of competition for it, right? So for Oracle, you have the other major people are Workday, right? It's an individual organization. It's also giving a HCM solution, and it is also an attractive and a successful rate HCM solution in the market. Okay? Then we have SAP. So SAP is also a very highly successful thing because SAP started from supply chain. So I mentioned the same SAP in supply chain management also. So from the days of MRP, which is manufacturing product, till date, SAP is one company which has been a pioneer into the manufacturing thing, right? And also in HCM also they have stepped into, and it is also a very big competition for Oracle and across the high level products, right? For CRM, latest cloud product is Salesforce, and it is not limited to one product. There are multiple products, but famous product from CRM is Salesforce. That's what I mentioned there. Then I have SAP again. As I mentioned, it is focused on supply chain management. And then we have finance products. So Tally is very commonly known finance product across people. So that is one Tally. Similar to that, you have Fusion Financials. You have lot many products. I was just giving a stat about Oracle Fusion, right? So Oracle Fusion, as I mentioned, it's a combined application from Oracle eBusiness Suite and PeopleSoft. However, the logic from those are taken out, and the best logics are combinedly put into Fusion, and it was given as Oracle Fusion as a product. Okay. So here I have mentioned what are the different set of things are required to create Oracle Fusion. So very first thing is open standard based platform. Okay. So Oracle Fusion is made up of SOA based items, and also it is involving OBIEE, JDeveloper, and Web Center content. Right. So these are the four basic things, and also a few more things are also there. All together is put up, and your Fusion application is getting created by Oracle company. Right. So these are the open standard platforms. You understand, hopefully everyone understands what's a platform. Platform is the place where you build an application. So these are the different platforms used to build the Oracle Fusion application. Okay. And next thing is built on business process. So as I mentioned, it is the business process are majorly taken and the functionalities are majorly taken from PeopleSoft, eBusiness, and also JD it was because all these three products are from Oracle. Okay. So the combination of these functionalities, whatever the successful rate from these three ERP products, these are all standalone ERP products as well. PeopleSoft is a standalone ERP product, EBS is a standalone ERP product, and also JD Edwards. Right. So the concepts of these three have been combinedly put up to build Oracle Fusion. So the next we have deployed through options. Oracle Fusion is given as a private cloud or a public cloud and also on-premise. So this first application, when they have launched it, it's a combined on-premise versus cloud. In upcoming slides, we'll see about what is on-premise versus cloud. For now, you can just understand what is the where all it is deployed. It can be separately deployed as a private cloud, or it can be commonly shared with a public cloud setup, or it can be on-premise version also. So talking about on-premise versus cloud. So I have put up the points for differences. Before going to the differences, we'll first see the high level about what is what. So on-premise application means an application which is going to be in the premise of the organization. Let's say like you are an XYZ organization, and for your organization, you want an ERP to be implemented. So when you want to implement an ERP, obviously you should have a proper business process, or you might be using some legacy system. Legacy means any old system will be legacy system because every different company will have different systems, right? So to have a combined word, we are going to call it as a legacy system. So from legacy system, you want to migrate the data to on-premise application, right? So this on-premise means, so you have to move the data and you have to keep the application within your premise, which means including database, application, everything. You have a high flexibility to change anything in the application, right? And also you will be having a separate database administrators to focus on the database work within the application, right? That's your on-premise application. Compared to cloud, you're not going to have any database. You'll not have much people to be involved to work on cloud application, because the the original company who is producing the product or working on the product will be taking care of the database, and you're going to take only the subscription. You can very similarly compare to your OTT platforms. If you have a subscription, you can watch the movie. Similarly, you have the subscription for this. You are getting the license subscription for this particular product and start using the product. That's it. It works very simply, right? And next, the differences that you see starting from deployment, it will have very huge differences and many benefits to cloud, which is the latest trend, right? So from deployment wise, for an on-premise product, you might, for an average of 5,000 to 10,000 employees, you might require 100 employees to, implement the product, right? For a cloud application, you would not require more than 20 employees to implement the product. By resources wise, the implementation or time to market, the cycle time cut it is fast. Right? The cycle time is very less in cloud application compared to your on-premise application. Okay. Next thing is upgrade. So talking about upgrade application is equivalent to a implementation for an on-premise application. Again, you need those 100 set of employees or 100 plus employees to upgrade the product, from the old product to new product. You have to migrate entire set of things and you have to upgrade the product. And you have to take care by the organization itself. Whereas in cloud, the company will take care of it. You just have to give a downtime, right? The company will take off all the migration and all the set of activities without interrupting your business flow, right? So that's how the cloud thing works for an upgrade. And for security wise, obviously on-premise might have higher security because you're going to have the database and you'll not have anybody's interruption, or you'll not have any problem with your this thing, because you're maintaining your own database and you have the data integrity, everything maintained properly because you have the database. Whereas in one case, cloud is obviously promising all of this. However, there might be a choice or a problem that, or a risk that it is because it's in a public cloud, right? It is shared across people. However, nobody can, there's no talk about or hacking or anything, or getting, integrity is having a question. Just that it is exposed on the public, right? However, it has been confirmed from all the people that cloud is very safer environment still, right? So compliance wise, obviously, cloud is going to have high compliance. You can, maintain everything and all that. So on-premise is going to have less compliance. Right? Cost of comparison. On-premise cost wise, for purchase wise, you have to buy the entire product, keep it in your own organization. You have to, take care of the maintenance of it, upgrade of it, everything, right? But still, at the initial stage, the subscription might be, lesser compared to cloud subscription. For subscription, it will be more. But from the resources wise and maintenance wise, for a long run, if you see the number of resources, not even half of it. It's only, 1/5 of it, right? Similarly, upgrade is you have no work. Company is taking care. So for the long run, so for the maintenance on the cloud will be having lesser cost compared to your on-premise application. All right. Next is mobility, which is nothing but use of the application. Okay. So on-premise means you're going to use the application from one place, which is your, you're going to use the application and track out the application from one place. Whereas for an cloud application, it's a centralized database somewhere in the cloud, and just with active internet, anybody can check, different places from different places, they can access the centralized database, right? The connectivity can be, very challenging for an on-premise application compared to your cloud application, right? So these are the high differences between your on-premise versus cloud. Next thing. So we understand the cloud as this thing I mentioned, subscription and all. So now we are going to see about what are the different ways of, taking the service from cloud. So as I mentioned, it's going to be subscription based, or you can compare with subscription. Now we are going to see how the subscription is made, right? So there are three different ways of doing taking up your cloud service. One is SaaS, one is PaaS, one is IaaS, compared with your on-site or on-premise application. Okay. So on-premise application, for an application to work, for a complete application to work, you need a lot of things. It's not like you can download from Play Store. It's an organization software. It's not a personal software or an individual software. It's an organization software. So for an organization software, you need applications, data, runtime, middleware, OS, virtualization, servers, storage, and networking. So these are various factors what you have to focus when you're going to maintain an application. Right? Whereas in parallel with SaaS application, we do the extremes corner of the table. Entire thing is maintained by the company, which is here in our case, this entire thing is maintained by Oracle, right? So Oracle is going to take care of the entire set of things and will not be have to maintain anything at all in this place. You just have to use the application. You will have users and you can use the application. So wherever you require for your business process, if you want to modification, you can modify and start focusing on the application. Whereas in on-premise application, you will obviously have users to use the application. In parallel, you should have a separate IT team to maintain the application. So the entire maintenance has been highlighted in the booklet. Okay? So from SaaS, we are going to increase slowly in the cloud service. So one is on-premise, all the other three are cloud services, right? So there are three types of cloud service: SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS. That's what we are seeing here. So SaaS, we just saw the entire set of information maintained by Oracle or maintained by the company itself is called a SaaS application. Coming to PaaS, applications and data will be maintained by you, will not be maintained by you. Rest of the things will be maintained by you, right? So applications means like any modification application you can slightly do, and anything in the data you can work on it, right? Being an owner or being a subscription owner, what you can do, you can modify the data. So in case if you ask me the comparison between what is data modification, so in SaaS application, you will not be able to create a table. If people understand the technical term, you will not be able to create a table or directly write into the table is not possible in SaaS applications. But whereas in PaaS applications, you can get the platform, so you can create new functionalities using the platform. That's the application thing. And for data perspective, you can also work on the data, right? You can directly write something, create a table, modify your view, all that you can do. That level is called PaaS. You're getting the platform also as a service, right? I'll come to the full form at the last. So the third one is, and the last one is IaaS as a service. So IaaS means application you'll have access, data will have access, runtime, middleware, and OS will have access, right? You can modify anything on these sort of things, but virtualization or server or storage or networking, still you'll not get access. That will be still with the company, right? So these are the three different models as a service you'll get from cloud. Okay. So here the full form for these things is SaaS means software as a service, PaaS means platform as a service, and IaaS means infrastructure as a service. Right. So now you'll be able to relate it. So entire software we are going to take it as a service from the product, and platform is only platform you're going to take the subscription. Like we'll have control. The rest of the things we are giving as a service, taking as a service. And IaaS, we are taking a little more infra from the product owner, and we are taking rest of the things as a service. So next thing what we're going to see is Fusion family, right? So we mentioned there are different modules in Fusion. Sorry, in ERP, right? Hope you can remember it. I'll just rephrase it: HCM, supply chain management, CRM, and finance applications, right? So from Fusion, from Oracle Fusion, we have got multiple things within Fusion itself. So here we have presented what are the different things we have got from Fusion, right? So we have got finance also. So within finance, as I mentioned, you will maintain the general ledger. We'll talk about accounts payable. We'll talk about receivables, asset management, and we also have human capital management, which is going to talk about your global HR, workforce management, talent management, payroll, absence administration, all that. And also, we'll be talking about customer relationship management. We'll talk about sales. We'll talk about marketing. We're going to talk about customer master, and all that. Procurement. So these are nothing but the different modules what you have from Fusion. So the pointers are nothing but what could be the content under the topic, right? So these are the different application itself. Like Fusion's the application. Within that you have different modules, right? Finance module, HCM module, CRM module, procurement module, supply chain module, and project portfolio module. So the different modules what we have in the, so these are high level. You can understand like different products, but we are focused on HCM, human capital management, that I have given an outline already. So proceeding further, so upgrade process. I mentioned upgrade process will be taken care by company itself, which for our case it is Oracle itself, right? So for Oracle there are two types of upgrade process. So the first thing is quarterly upgrade process, and second one is batch process, batch fixes, right? So quarterly upgrade means, so let's say like we are in 2022, right? So first quarter will be called as A, second quarter will be called as B, and third is C, and fourth is D, right? Because we are at 22, so it will be called as 22A for first quarter. So Jan, February, March will be called as 22A. So any fixes, any enhancements which will be coming from this quarter will be called as 22A. So 22A will be given to us in January month, and that you can start using, and our application will be called as 22A product, right? So once you enter into April, you'll get the 22B. So you'll get the latest features from 22B. So April, May, and June, you'll be having 22B. So similarly, next 3 months for 22C and for the 3 months for 22B. When you go to 23, again the rotation will follow. 23A, 23B, 23C, and 23D. Likewise, we'll go on. That's the quarterly upgrades, and it's an automatic upgrade from application. As I mentioned, it's direct upgrade from Oracle. So we'll not have any requirement from our side. Our only requirement could be testing the application based on our own business process as a customer, right? So as an implementation consultant, again, you will not have any work. It will be taken care completely by Oracle. So probably you will have to talk about the new features and any users if you want to give for your customer. Being a consultant, you will be working on that, right? The next thing is batch fixes. Batch fixes means, let's say, like if you have any bug, you cannot wait for entire quarter to fix that bug. It might be, disturbing your application process, right? So to work on that, you have batch fixes. So based on your availability, they'll fix the bugs which is disturbing your business process, and they get it fixed on the batches, right? That's the batch fixes. These are two way of update process what we have on RFP. So next thing we are going to see about employee life cycle, right? Because talking about a HCM product, we are going to learn about HCM product. First, we should understand what's the life cycle of an employee, right? So it starts from recruiting. So recruiting means you have to talking about interviews, screening process, and then finally once you get selected, you'll be talking about onboarding process. All comes under the recruitment module. Next thing is track and pay section. So once you get onboarded, which is once you get hired to an organization, we'll be talking about your compensation, we'll be talking about your payroll and maintaining your absence and all that. Okay. So once your track and pay is done, then you'll be thinking about development. How do you develop yourself? So then we'll be focusing about your skills and certification, or if you movement of place from either a location movement or a promotion movement, talking about the transfers. So that's a development. So while you're developing, you have to be assessed also, right? How good you are. So you set up a goal, and from that goal, you'll be assessed with the performance, right? So goal means in 1 year you have to finish so and so. If you're a tester, you have to create so many bugs. If you're a consultant, you have to finish at least working on 2 projects and learn new modules. Likewise, they set up the goals for the start of the year, and based on the start of the year goal, you will be assessed with it, right? So that is called performance of it. So from there, you'll be talking about rewards. So based on your performance, you'll be benefited and you'll be recognized. So that's your rewards. And finally, once that is done, either you retire or you move into a different organization. Right? Again, it will go to recruiting. So this is how your cycle follows. This is what is called as employee life cycle. And with this, you'll have different modules in your HCM application. Right? I mentioned HCM, Oracle HCM Cloud. Within that, you'll have all these different modules. So moving ahead, this is our course content. So we're going to have a techno-functional course. We'll be covering global HR, absence, talent, payroll, compensation, benefits, and OT. These are the different functional thing what we have in the product. And from the technical side, we are going to talk about reporting, HDL, HSDL. HSDL means HCM data loader, and HSDL means HCM spreadsheet data loader. This within Excel sheet you can keep on upload and get added to the system. And we have extracts, we have security, we have customization, we have workflows, and fast formula basics. Okay? So these are the things we're going to see. So this is just an idea about how the SaaS product is incoming and outgoing. So from legacy applications, when you're implementing, you'll get the data from the legacy to HDL or all these batch loading part. And outgoing, once you have one particular model, you can take out from the application and give away to the third-party applications. So it's not a ERP always going to have entire thing by themselves at the start itself. We'll slowly do it. You'll slowly implement. You can have parallel ERPs. You can have 2 applications working together. So this is how you are going to maintain your system managed with the data. So additional resources, course resources, what we have is we'll be providing you the links, we'll be providing you the recordings of the sessions. How starting from this demo session, you'll have all the recordings. And we'll be sharing this PPT also with you so that you can have a reference, you can go through the references. So these are things will be given from my methods. And also we'll be talking about interview questions, right? So we'll also do the mock interviews after the completion of the course. We'll be conducting mock interviews so that you can have an understanding where you stand in the interview and you can start preparing for your own. So this will try to make you understand about the knowledge gap of the person, and hopefully we should not have any gap by the end of the session. But then to understand this and to monitor this, we are going to have this mock interviews at the end of the session. From the lab setup, the prerequisites we have mentioned here. So it's a cloud product, so at least you should have the basics of it. Again, for an administrator, if you have very good internet and good setup laptop, it will be easy for you to have without any interruptions internet. So internet is very important because you're going to use a cloud product. And certifications, you'll be provided with a cloud ERP techno function consultant course completion certificate will be similar to this. Thank you for attending the session. I hope you have got a brief idea about what is Oracle HCM Cloud and what are the insights of it. So we'll be explaining in detail about all these things. You can get in touch with us. Thank you.